Hello, on tonight's big match, it's South London's overachievers against North London's underachievers. Spurs' season of cup promise has fallen apart. An unexpected Worthington Cup final defeat against Blackburn, followed up by 3 consecutive 4-0 defeats. Not what the Spurs faithful had expected. For Charlton, things are going better than expected, and they can draw on their 3-1 success over Spurs earlier this season. 8th placed in the Premiership, they top the London Derbies League. 11 matches unbeaten against local opposition. Good evening. White Hart Lane is tonight's venue as under pressure Tottenham face a buoyant Charlton Athletic. I can tell you it's a very, very wet and slippery pitch down at the lane this evening. The rain has been heavy throughout the afternoon, but happily, referee Jeff Winter was satisfied that the game could proceed. With us in the studio to discuss tonight's talking points are Clive Allen and Paul Walsh. Clive, this is a huge game for Spurs, with their recent form particularly in mind. What do you make of Glenn's team selection?
Well, I think it's very interesting. I think that certainly it's a stage of the season now where they've got to force their way back up the table. I think big disappointment in their cup results, a season that promised so much, and he's without Dean Richards, who I think has been pretty good since his arrival. The big miss is obviously Teddy Sheringham, because I think the whole nature of the way Tottenham shape up.
5-3-2 formation this is.
Yeah, it's the same system that they always play. And I think that the thing is, the big question now is that Gus Poyet will move into that central position, which Teddy normally occupies. Darren Anderton looks to be fit again, having, I think, carried an injury, in particular in the Worthington Cup final. But for me, the interesting positions are Simon Davies and Christian Ziege, how they will match up the wing-backs and how they can get forward and provide ammunition for Ferdinand and Rebrov.
And Mr. Taricco on the subs bench.
Yes, perhaps politically the right move from Spurs.
Paul, Alan Kirbishley's selection.
Yeah, I mean, Charlton gambling a little bit, we feel, tonight. I mean, me and Clive were just talking, bringing Richard Rufus into a back three. And
not played since last August.
No, so he's been out for a long, long time. He's coming in, he's playing a slightly different system with George Costa and John Fortune alongside him, and wing-backs Chris Powell and Luke Young pushed in. So we were just interested at the battle of the wing-backs, you know, how it will unfold during the game. But Charlton have only lost one away from home in their last 8. And are playing with confidence, whereas you feel Tottenham's confidence, you know, is a little bit waning at the moment.
Are you surprised that he's gone sort of trying to counter Spurs formation?
Yeah, I always feel you should play, you know, to your strengths, and Charlton have been good playing 4-4-2 for most of the season, so it's a little bit strange that he has changed it, but he obviously feels that's the best thing for tonight, but only time will tell. Let's
give everybody a reminder of how these two teams sit in the Premiership table right now. Charlton in 8th. Leading Spurs on goal difference only, both on 38 points. But you two guys there, what about that? 26 points behind the leaders, Manchester United, 26 points.
Yeah, I think that emphasises the gulf, and no one can deny that fact when you listen to that it realistically proves how far away, in particular, Tottenham are. I think Charlton, overall, when the season finishes, will be delighted to finish where they are.
I was going to say, you'd expect that gulf between maybe Manchester United and Charlton, wouldn't you? They're having a great season. The problem is the fans and the expectation of fans get carried away.
More.
They do. And I was reading an article today, and the chairman, Richard Murray, was saying how delighted he is with how things are and how they've worked out. They haven't overspent, they're budgeted right, they're a healthy club, and that can't be said for a lot of the others, can it?
Yeah. OK. Well, just before we progress, a reminder now of what happened when the two sides met at the Valley earlier this season.
Played forward by Fortune. Here's Euell. And surely Graham Stuart. What a calamitous piece of defending. Now here's Luke Young. Charlton with 4 ahead of him. And Lisby. Can he turn? Yes, he can! Spurs have sent 7 men up for this. Oh, Sheringham struck it so well, but it was met by a save of some quality from Taricco. And now it's Scott Parker. And there's only Terry between him and the Tottenham goalkeeper. Parker desperately looking for support. Onside. It's Lisby. It's 3. The classic breakaway goal. Sheringham. Up by Young. Taricco. And onside Sheringham. Foiled again by Kiely. Iversen couldn't guide it goalwards. Johansson. Taricco. Poyet! That's 1 goal back, but it may well be too late.
3-1 to Charlton, the Valley in December. Let's pick out 1 or 2 of the Tottenham key men as we see them tonight. First of all, Christian Ziege. Both through his attacking point of view, scored 7 goals anyway, hasn't he, in his 20-odd games?
I think it's his attacking presence that's been really influential this season. I think he's been a success since coming to White Hart Lane. He has provided, I mean, knocks in fantastic cross. He possesses a great left foot, but has also arrived at the far post to score a number of important goals. Yeah,
I mean, I think his energy getting forward, and Tottenham, the way they play, they expect him to be in those forward positions. I know people have criticised him about his defensive play, but Tottenham and Glenn ought to accept that he's going to be a lot further forward for most of the game. It's the way they've set their system up, and he gets in some great positions and scores some great goals and delivers great crosses in.
Can you explain to me how Sick Note, as he was called, has scored 20... not scored, appeared, I'm talking about Darren Anderton. Yeah, Well Note. 26 out of 29 games he started this season. That's incredible.
Well, Clive did say to me earlier that apparently his contract that is half pay if you play and half guaranteed. So I mean, I don't know if that's got anything to do with it.
Can you believe that?
But well, I don't know. It makes you wonder. But at the same time, I mean, he's a fantastic player and he's playing consistently well this season, and he's an important part of Tottenham's team. But you know, over the last 10 years, we just wanted to see more of him on the pitch more often.
Spurs form guide over the last 6. It's not brilliant, is it, Clive?
It isn't good, and I look back further than that, Bob, and you see that in the last 11 games there's been no draws, and I think that is one of the reasons. I think with the ageing team, when they're in control of games, they win them, but when they've got to chase games, when they go behind, they find it very difficult, so they either win or they lose.
You made a really interesting point, because I was about to say to you, why has it gone so wrong? You've indicated that age is a factor here.
I think the argument is it the age, or is it just the fact that things haven't gone well? I mean, because all the big games that they've lost, they could have turned them out. I mean, Les Ferdinand's had some great chances in big games that could have made a difference and haven't scored.
But age is okay often in defenders, but not so much when you've got so many like Gus Poyet, Les Ferdinand, Teddy Sheringham, who are attackers, who are...
Yeah, but the age is only being brought up because they've lost key games. I mean, Les Ferdinand, again, had 3 great chances in the Cup final, didn't he?
Cup, yes.
And against Chelsea, the great header that hit the post.
OK, well, it's around 20 minutes to kick off at White Hart Lane. The fans are certainly now pouring in, fish and chip suppers and all. Plus the usual optimism for their 2 teams. When we return, we'll hear Alan Kirbishley's views on Charlton's derby run.
The bigger clubs, the Arsenals, the Chelseas, the Spurs, the West Hams, have got it all to lose, really. And perhaps we've played on that a little bit.
Welcome back. Did you know that Charlton are officially the top team in London? Well, so say the stats. When it comes to a local derby, Charlton's unbeaten Premiership run stretches back to New Year's Day 2001. Tony Jones reports.
Chelsea, Tottenham, Arsenal, West Ham and Fulham. Arsenal.
Incredible! It's 4 for Charlton.
Chelsea.
Tottenham.
It's 3.
11 London derbies in the Premiership, 11 games unbeaten. Arsenal have been the victims twice, Chelsea 3 times, Spurs just the once. So much for that little Charlton label.
Any local derby win are great wins, and the fans can really enjoy it. And I know that people that went to Arsenal, you know, we've not done that for, what, 40 odd years, something like that. It was an incredible result, especially the way the game went.
if you're sitting next door to a couple of Chelsea fans, Arsenal fans, and your team's gone and done the double over them, it's a good feeling to have. And fortunately, any Charlton fans out there at work are probably gloating at the moment in time.
In terms of performances and picking up the points, I think playing Chelsea at the Valley recently, we beat them 2-1, and I think we deserved it. And it was a big win for us because the Chelsea game was in between Man United and Leeds, and people keep looking at sequences of fixtures, and you're going to do bad, you're going to do this, you're going to struggle, and that was a big win for us.
And for the time being, Charlton Athletic are kings of the capital.
Probably out of all the London sides, you would probably associate Charlton with perhaps not being the most glamorous club, but the London league table speaks for itself at the moment.
We are still the underdogs. Even when we played Fulham, I think we was the underdogs in terms of the amount of money they've spent. So, it's nice sometimes being the underdog. As I say, the bigger clubs, the Arsenals, the Chelseas, the Spurs, the West Hams, have got it all to lose, really. And perhaps we've played on that a little bit.
It's almost 11 years since Kerbishley took charge. He doesn't go in for chest thumping, and even though Charlton are comfortable in the Premiership, he won't get complacent.
When I first started off here, 10 years ago, I think we was looking at, myself and the chairman, looking at perhaps a Norwich or a QPR, a firm, strong first division side, decent crowds, 14, 16,000. But then we progressed past that, and then we started looking at the Derbies and the Leicesters of this world, staying in the Premiership for 3 or 4 years, establishing themselves and, becoming part of the Premiership. And you've only got to see what's happened to Derby and Leicester this year to know that nothing's cast in stone, and you've got to work as hard, and it's got to go right for you all the time. You can't rest on what you've already achieved. And for us, if we can stay in the Premiership for 3 or 4 years, we'd like to think we could become established.
Well, big game this coming Monday against Tottenham. Is it a good time to play them, do you feel, after the disappointments of both the FA Cup and the League Cup?
Yeah, well, they've been hit a little bit. Obviously the Worthing Cup final, I think they must have fancied their chances. And then a quarter-final at home. But, they're unpredictable anyway, quarter-finals, and, Chelsea played ever so well. We'll have to wait and see if it's a good time to play them or not. All I know is the only thing you are guaranteed is going to be a good atmosphere there, because we take our contingent, and obviously looking forward to it. And if we can get a result there, then it will perhaps set us up for the running.
Clive, Paul, do you know what surprised me most there? Mentioned that he's been there almost 11 years, 7 of which he's been in sole charge. He was with Steve Gritt initially.
That's right, and I think it's a fantastic story, Bob, when you see where they go. And Paul would know better than anybody exactly how perilously close they were to actually going out of business, and we see it so often with so many clubs. But this is a success story.
Key men to watch. You've already mentioned Richard Rufus.
Yeah.
Is this a gamble, or is this... we've all had long-term injuries. This isn't easy. This is since August.
Well, he's obviously not going to have a lot of match fitness, certainly first-team match fitness, so that's a slight gamble in itself. But Alan Kerbishley, you can't doubt his experience in gauging whether he's right for the job tonight or not, and he's putting him in. It's a great stage of the season to be coming in a team that's doing well. He's changing the formation, which is a bit of a gamble, but as he just said in the interview there, he's not sure which Tottenham side's coming out tonight.
Yeah.
They're going to make sure they're ready to do their job and hopefully sicken Tottenham off a bit more for this season.
He'll just be happy to be back, won't he, Richard? Now, Jason Euell, let's go from the back to the front of the team. 12 goals is a fair old return, isn't it?
He's actually the only striker on view tonight who's in double figures, league goals, 10, he has 12 in total. And I think that, again, there was a few eyebrows raised perhaps when Alan Kerbishley paid what he did to bring him across London.
Quite a lot of money, wasn't it?
He took a while to settle, you have to say that, but I think now he's paying him back in style, because he had a number of problems as well. We mustn't get away from that, but he certainly has been a real star for them this year, and I think that he is the one who could be a major threat to Spurs' rearguard this evening.
Yeah, Paul, the form guide for Charlton, they're really steady, aren't they? They've only lost 1 of the last 6 here.
Yeah, there's
against Manchester United.
I think you can forgive that, can't you? And Yeah, they're quite consistent, and I think that proves that in the league table position. And I think that, as any manager, that's what you strive for, is some sort of consistency. You're always going to have your blips here and there, and I think Charlton have certainly achieved that.
And if you look at their away results, 3 away draws, and that's why they're mid-table. That's why they've done what they've done, and have really been successful in terms of what they're trying to achieve.
They're not going to finish on top of the Premiership, but they are finishing. Let's give them the credit here tonight. Look at this table again, because I think it's fantastic.
It's a brilliant run, and as Alan Kirbishley said, I think he certainly plays on the fact that they go
only in the Premiership, as it says there.
There's no medals for that table, Bob, is there?
There's no medals, but it is terrific, isn't it? I mean, you would never ever have put them up there.
No, it is fantastic, and they've had a great run, certainly against London sides.
I think it's half of all their points they've amassed this season have come in London derbies, which is one hell of a record for them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope you'll stay with us for the first half live from White Hart Lane. It's in around about 10 minutes from now. No doubt there's anxiety in those Tottenham fans. Charlton fans reasonably happy. Anxiety for the Spurs fans, and indeed for Glenn and his team. We're back in a couple of minutes. Hello again. Last-minute thoughts from Clive and Paul here before we cross to White Hart Lane. This is a must-win night, isn't it, for Tottenham?
Well, you'd think so, but if you gave me the chance to say who would win this game tonight, I'm going for Charlton. I think they'll either draw or win for Charlton tonight. I think Tottenham have got no Sheringham, no Richards, lacking in confidence, and Charlton are flying, they're hard-working, and I think they'll get a result.
I think that's important what Paul says about the hard work that they put into the game. I don't think the conditions are conducive to the type of game that Tottenham want to play. So we can see lots of people on the pitch trying to disperse surface water, and I think it could be sticky, it could be difficult for them to move the ball, and I think that favours Charlton.
A final thought, if they don't win, Tottenham, Paul?
Well, the fans will get restless, won't they? They're already disappointed, been in a cup final and lost it. The wheels seem to have come off a little bit. As I just said, they've got a couple of key players missing tonight, and somehow they've got to get it back on track.
Yeah, I think it's a classic case of Charlton with nothing to lose and everything to gain.
OK, thanks very much for the moment. It's just about time to join our match commentators in North London. It's live coverage of Tottenham Hotspur versus Charlton. Brian Marwood and, first of all, Alan Parry.
Welcome to White Hart Lane on a wet and windy evening, and a crucial night for Tottenham Hotspur, whose pride is at stake as they take on Charlton Athletic. Well, it's been a disastrous month for Spurs, beaten in the Worthington Cup final, knocked out of the FA Cup and down to 9th in the Premiership. Their confidence shattered by a run of heavy defeats and damaging headlines. They can ill afford another setback tonight against Charlton, who have the best record of any club in the capital city when it comes to these London derbies. Brian Marwood, just a few weeks ago, Tottenham's season looked so promising, didn't it? What's gone wrong?
Well, early on in the season, Alan, they were playing some really incisive football. You know, their build-up from back to front really was exceptional, and here's an example here. Just look at the movement, the quality of the passing, and of course the finishing skills, and everything they seem to do seem to revolve around Teddy Sheringham, dropping off, as we've seen him do time and time again against many sides, and just threading little balls through in the manner that he did for Christian Ziege. Here we see them against Manchester United the other week, and you can see it's not quite there, is it? The movement, the fluidity that they seem to have early on in the season, a little bit laboured, and then when it breaks down, sides have been hurting them, and in particular the last 3 games, twice against Chelsea and against Manchester United also.
Now, strangely enough, most of these Spurs fans seem delighted with the style of football that they've been playing under Glenn Hoddle, but I wonder how long that will last if they don't start winning again.
Well, that buys you so much time, and I think Glenn actually went on record the other week of saying that, you know, they need within the next 3 years to be competing and winning trophies. What he's done here is he's brought some experienced players in the likes of Gus Poyet and Teddy Sheringham, and there's 1 or 2 exciting youngsters coming through, but they need to really be challenging for trophies, and that's something that they've fallen away quite dramatically over the last 3 or 4 weeks, as you've already said. So that'll be a big disappointment for Glenn, but no doubt he'll be hoping to get through the remaining few weeks of the season, regroup in the summer, perhaps make 1 or 2 key signings and try and make a challenge for at least a European place next year.
Now, As for Charlton Athletic, I don't really think they've had the praise they deserve for their season so far. They're higher in the table than Tottenham, albeit on goal difference. And this, Brian, for a club whose #1 priority at the beginning of the season was just to avoid relegation.
Well, I was talking to somebody prior to the game, and I think when you start talking about managerial awards, manager of the year, then Alan Kiely has got to feature in a lot of people's thinking, because when you think of the resources, or even lack of resources, he's had at Charlton Athletic, and he's manufactured a very well organised side. They seem to all be in unison, all want to play for him. He's got an excellent backroom staff, the experienced Keith Peacock, Mervyn Day, Glenn Snodden amongst the team that help him out, and I think they really have done extremely well to be in the position that they are, and could even go above Aston Villa if they win here tonight.
Mind you, sensibly enough, Charlton have had a good look at the league table, and there are only 8 points between them in 8th position and Bolton in the bottom 3, so I'm sure there are a lot more twists and turns to come before this memorable Premiership season is completed. Crowd of over 30,000 in White Hart Lane for a match between the team from north and the team from south of the River Thames. Kick-off time approaching, so let's bring you all the team news. Tottenham down to their last 16 players fit enough to be selected. Injuries have ruled out Dean Richards, Ben Thatcher and Teddy Sheringham, added to a list of casualties that already included the likes of Stephen Carr, Stefan Freund, Chris Armstrong and Stephen Clements. It's in defence that Spurs have had their biggest problems of late, and that's exactly where they've been hit hardest tonight. Chris Perry will be flanked by 2 21-year-olds in Ledley King and Anthony Gardner. In attack, their record signing Sergei Rebrov gets a rare opportunity to play from the start.
Well, defensively they have been short of confidence, as we've already talked about, Alan. But they've got 2 youngsters in there, Ledley King at 21, Anthony Gardner also at 21, flanking either side of Chris Perry. In those wing-back areas, Simon Davies and Christian Ziege. They have got goals from that area of the field, so they have profited from some of the surging runs that we have seen in wide areas from Spurs this season. It's a very experienced midfield 3. Darren Anderton, 30-year-old, Tim Sherwood, 33, Gus Poyet, 34. Poyet really has been a revelation since his move from Chelsea. 12 goals from that area of the field. And it's up front that they'll miss Teddy Sheringham. A lot of things go through the experienced England striker, but they have Les Ferdinand, top goal scorer this season, Sergei Rebrov.
Well, the big news for Charlton is the return of defender Richard Rufus, who makes his long-awaited first appearance since he recovered from a serious knee injury. Rufus will play in a back 3 as manager Alan Konchesky adopts his formation to reflect the way he expects Tottenham to line up. Paul Konchesky is the unlucky player who drops down to the subs bench. Otherwise, it's the same personnel that drew at Leicester in their last away match. Charlton have suffered just 1 defeat in their last 8 games on the road.
Well, when we've seen Charlton Athletic this season against Manchester United and Aston Villa, they haven't defended particularly well. It's quite interesting that Alan Kiely has decided to go for a back 3. And Rufus, of course, first game since August, will be a big test for him. Step up after 4 or 5 reserve team games. And Luke Young, wide right, Chrissy Powell wide left. I don't really expect them to be surging too far forward. Chris Bart-Williams will just hold in that midfield 3. Graham Stuart and Scott Parker will try and join the front 2 whenever possible. Jason Yuill's done brilliantly for them. Really struggled when he first went to Charlton Athletic, played at midfield at times, but now out-and-out striker, 12 goals this season, has done brilliantly, and Svensson will be looking to put himself about. He's a very combative striker.
Well, after 7 long months of treatment and rehabilitation, Richard Rufus finally reappears in Charlton's first team. It's been a hard and lonely slog back to full fitness for Rufus, who was being tipped for an England place before he injured his knee in only the 2nd game of the season. It's also a big night for Luke Young. He returns to the club that gave him his start in professional football. Young began at Spurs as a trainee and went on to make over 70 appearances in the first team here before Glenn Hoddle sold him to Charlton last summer. There were some concerns about the pitch earlier today. The rain's been falling relentlessly in North London, and they have had problems with the playing surface at White Hart Lane this season, but referee Jeff Winter needed only a cursory inspection to give the match the go-ahead. Spurs 9th in the Premiership, just 1 place behind Charlton, And when the teams last met at the Valley in December, Charlton won by 3 goals to 1. There was also a high-scoring encounter between these two in the FA Cup last season. Charlton led 2-0 at one stage, only to lose 4-2. A strong wind, which seems to be blowing from left to right as you look across the pitch, and clearly it's down the centre where the surface is at its heaviest and most likely to cut up. Tottenham in the white shirts, they won't stay white for long in these conditions. Charlton in the red. Ferdinand, the leading scorer, with the layoff, and then the through ball by the skipper Sherwood gives an early problem for Dean Kiely in the Charlton goal as young Davies latched onto it.
Well, it was a very enterprising run, wasn't it? This is the type of fluent football they were playing early in the season. Up to Ferdinand, back to a midfield player, trying to get a wide player. He isn't far away, is he, Davies, from just hooking that ball over Kiely.
Spurs have lost their last 3 League and Cup matches without scoring. Conceded 12 goals in the process. 4-0 defeats each time against Manchester United and Chelsea twice. Good break by Luke Young here. Euell was his target, pulled it in behind them, then Powell arrived. Strangely enough, the only goal he's ever scored for Charlton was against Tottenham in that FA Cup tie I mentioned. For Charlton, just lost out in the challenge with Davies. Sullivan anxious to keep a clean sheet tonight, having conceded 12 goals in his last 3 appearances in the Tottenham goal. Flick on by Poyet. Rebrov, big night for him as well. Unhappy at being on the subs bench so often this season. This is his chance to prove he should be in the starting 11. And Anderton back after missing 3 league games with injury. Here's Davies, preferred tonight to Taricco in the right wing-back role. And that's a useful cross. Ferdinand almost reached it. Ziege coming in behind him as Luke Young cleared.
Well, I think that's one area of the field, Alan, that Charlton can't really concede space, because they know that Davies on this right-hand side, Ziege on the left, will deliver quality into the box. Rufus does brilliantly. 1 against 1 with Les Ferdinand.
Charlton 8th in the table, 38 points from 29 games, 9 wins, 9 defeats, and 11 draws. Only Leeds have drawn more games in the Premiership than them. As I mentioned, same points as Tottenham, but they do have a better goal difference. Excellent skill there by Young, just running out of play in the end. Obviously very keen to make an impact tonight.
I think it'll be key in those wide areas. I've already talked about the benefit of Spurs, but you know, Charlton Athletic will be hoping to take the game to Tottenham Hotspur at times, and that's important that Luke Young on that right-hand side, as we've just seen, Chrissy Powell on the left, can also look to surge forward at every opportunity.
Perry's clearance helped on by Ziege towards Rebrov. Young's there to win it again. Now Rebrov for Tottenham. No hesitation in the challenge by Parker. And a break for Ferdinand. And Parker again. Euell making an early run, not been spotted yet, and then the ball given away by the Charlton skipper Stuart, rather fortunate to get it back, but used it well. Svensson, Powell, just overran it in the end. Bradley King deprived him of possession, and now Sherwood for Spurs. Good layoff, Ferdinand to Anderton. Svensson hitting it early for Euell, and Perry guides it back. Great control by Rebrov, but the challenge by George Costa was good, and Parker takes Charlton forward. Asking a lot there of Young. And he's not going to give up on anything tonight, Luke Young, and why should he?
Well, he's had a couple of occasions, hasn't he, Luke Young, when he's burst forward. And that's exactly what his manager will be looking for him to do. Taking the game to Christian Ziege, get Ziege at that end of the field, rather than where we know he can do some damage with that left foot of his.
Ferdinand. Rebrov with a layoff. And then a poor ball, untypical of Anderton. Spurs with 8 games to play after tonight to rescue some pride in their season. I suppose you'd say do have a very remote chance of qualifying for Europe, but they'd have to win virtually every game to do that. 5 away games, only 3 more here at White Hart Lane after tonight. Leeds, West Ham and Liverpool will be their visitors. Poyet to Rebrov. Uruguayan loses out to Stuart.
Well, well in that midfield area, Charlton Athletic at the moment. Stuart, Bart-Williams, Scotty Parker seems to be having the initiative against the likes of Poyet, Anderton, Sherwood.
Parker finding Svensson. Young still available on the right, but that's a bit embarrassing.
That's what we thank the groundsman for.
Yeah, the groundsman's done a great job getting this pitch playable. He was very concerned. In fact, he said if it had been a 3 o'clock rather than an 8 o'clock kick-off, the game might not have taken place. They are due to lay a completely new pitch in the summer here. And the way Glenn Hoddle likes his teams to play, they're going to need a good surface. Here's King. Rebrov. Goes down quickly by Rufus. Now Sherwood. Plenty of room this time for Darren Anderton. Davies ahead of him on the right. Good cross. Kiely met it well.
He's looking for a run really to the near post, Darren Anderton. He has an awful long time to knock this ball into the box, but really he's only got 2 players in there, and one of them's a midfield player, Gus Poyet.
Euell's header. Bart-Williams a little high with the challenge on Sherwood.
That's a difficult one, isn't it? You know, Chris Bart-Williams felt the ball was there to be won. Tim Sherwood also, so sensibly both players shaking hands, getting on with the game.
As Gardner takes Tottenham forward. Pretty unfamiliar territory for Anthony Gardner, who's yet to score his first senior goal for Tottenham.
Both these centre-halves, in particular King and Gardner, are capable of coming forward. Very composed players. Both possess a lot of ability. Gardner on his left foot, Ledley King on his right foot. Chris Perry will be the one that just holds of the 3 of them.
Foul by Euell. Happy with Mr. Winter's decision. Felt that if there was any free kick to be had, it should have been for him rather than against him. Plenty of distance on Sullivan's kick and accuracy as well towards Ferdinand. Davies' layoff was a little untidy. Stuart for Charlton. And Euell doing well. This is Young. Another good run by Euell. And it drops for Stuart to hit it. Well, a tad more accuracy there, and Charlton might have been in front.
Well, they started well, Charlton Athletic. Alan Kirby should be delighted this opening 8 minutes. They really have put Spurs under a little bit of pressure. Their football has been good, in particular those midfield area. And Graham Stuart just joining the attack. He'll be disappointed not to have hit the target. He's certainly got the quality to trouble Neil Sullivan from there.
Ferdinand at the other end with another terrific header. Richard Rufus clears. Gardner underneath it. Ferdinand again dominant in the air.
Well, the change of formation seems to, at the moment, been fairly key to Charlton. It looked fairly solid at the back. Kerbishley making that decision for the best part of this season. They've gone with 4 at the back, but playing the 3 centre-halves. And it's in that midfield area they've dominated this opening period. Stuart, Parker, Bart-Williams taking the initiative.
Svensson gets the flick on this time. Euell. Hustled out of it by Sherwood. Ferdinand. Davies. And Sherwood in control again. Gardner. Well, the final ball by the captain didn't match the accuracy of the earlier passing. Loaded that ball by Svensson, however. Anderton, another early cross towards Ferdinand. Costa holding his head. The challenge on Ferdinand saw them both injured. And a good firm tackle there by Richard Rufus.
Do you know, that'll make a big impression on that young man, that tackle, because he's been out an awful long time, and you really are looking to do something good early on in a football match, and that first 10 minutes is always a little bit nervy. Terrific challenge, that.
Charlton lost only one of their last 6 league games, and that was against Manchester United. If they win tonight, they'll go above Aston Villa into 7th in the table on goal difference. They're both currently -1 in that column in the league table. Svensson. Perry's clearance under pressure was good. Picks out Rebrov. Davies. Great first-time ball for Ziege. Oh, what a good challenge again by Rufus. That'll make him feel even better, and that one. He's not hanging about.
Ah, superb. Absolutely superb. The first one really is so important. Just look at the burst that Ziege makes. And that's so important to Spurs, if they can get him forward. And then he follows it up with a really crunching tackle on Gus Poyet. It really has left the Uruguayan down on the pitch, feeling that. Oof, that's strong. I said about doing something important early on in the game, and there's a couple of challenges that Richard Rufus, certainly not feeling that knee, is he?
Well, he's had 3 or 4 reserve games and a lot of time on the training ground and in the gymnasium, but there's nothing to match the real thing, and there's nothing that'll make his confidence higher than getting through the first 2 challenges successfully. It's his opponent who's injured.
Well, it's so important, and Christian Ziege did actually quite well, but that opportunity that Rufus came across, and then this one really is crunching. So determined. He had nothing in his mind other than to go for it wholeheartedly. He certainly didn't have that knee ligament injury in the back of his mind.
Poyet continues to receive treatment off the field. He scored against Charlton in Spurs' 3-1 defeat at the Valley in December. And I won't want to lose him. He's weighed in with a very valuable 12 goals in his first season here, the Uruguayan. He's just come back on, but he's still limping a bit. I think it was the leg in the back that did him more harm than anything else.
I was actually speaking to Glenn Snowden, the reserve team coach, before the game, and he was telling me about Richard Rufus's rehabilitation. He's worked extremely hard in the last 4 or 5 games in the reserves. He's been absolutely outstanding, but it's one thing playing reserve team football, it's a big step up playing in the Premiership, and so far he's done very well.
And there's a good ball by Bart-Williams to Svensson. Good defending, but it's come out to Euell. Excellent challenge by Ledley King, and then Gardner lashes it away from danger. Well, we've seen some really good tackles by the central defenders, and things hotting up.
Well, Spurs are certainly used to that, aren't they, in the last few games against Chelsea, now against Charlton. Charlton very committed, very competitive. It's a terrific ball from the back. And you can see the Spurs, the 3 centre-halves. Unfortunately, Ledley King couldn't get his clearance right, but followed it up with an excellent block.
Spurs have the free kick. Christian Ziege has the likes of Poyet as a possible target. Davies a little slow, and Stuart made sure he didn't get a second chance. Now the linesman is flagging for a foul on Rebrov. Powell holding his hands aloft in innocence, but the linesman flagged instantly, and this is a dangerous position.
That is when Christian Ziege and Darren Anderton are over the ball. Good quality with either left or right foot.
Neither goalkeeper has had a problem as yet in this opening quarter of an hour. That might be about to change. Ziege who goes for goal, and Kiely who follows the flight of the ball perfectly.
It's actually not a bad ball in, you know. I think it's really crying out for one or two Spurs players just to try and get across there to markers. It's hit with a bit of pace, but you can see there's no one there really looking to get in and around the goalkeeper.
Goal kick, the verdict. The Charlton fans in that corner, and Luke Young thought the linesman got that one wrong.
He's had a couple of those, hasn't he, Luke Young, where he's gone for sliding challenges and he felt that he should have had a corner in both instances, but up against Chris Perry, who talked already. He is looking forward to this game. Luke Young, before the season began, when he saw the fixtures come out, this was the one. Spurs away, back on his old stamping ground, looking to make an impression.
Foul on Rufus this time. England under 21 player who might well have made it to the senior squad if injury hadn't have so cruelly intervened, and could still yet, of course. Costa's free kick. Svensson following it in, and Ledley King following the flight of the ball. Talking of England, as usual, he's here. And that other chap. They get to see quite a few games, don't they?
They do, yeah. A great programme collection this season, isn't it?
Not a used car to buy, though. Davies. Deliberate little ball down the line by Anderton, well read by a man that, of course, has been capped under Mr. Eriksson, Chris Powell. Ledley King, who might well have been capped had he not been injured for England's last international. Here's Perry. Good football by Spurs. Gardner, the former Port Vale player. Poyet down to Ziege. That's good pressurisation there from Charlton, making them go all the way back to goalkeeper Sullivan. And then a foul by Rufus on Rebrov. He's not happy.
He's looked quite lively, hasn't he, Rebrov? I think he's been busy, and it's been difficult for him because Spurs haven't had an awful lot of fluency about them. He's been out of the side for the best part of the season, of course, the form of Teddy Sheringham, keeping him out for long periods.
Well, this free kick being on the opposite side of the field, it's probably more likely to be Anderton. And it is. And it was very good. Rebrov. Great ball back in, could have gone absolutely anywhere, only needed a deflection. Stuart clears the danger. Straight to Perry though. Tottenham getting up ahead of steam here. Ziege, Ferdinand, brought down by Parker.
That was a wild one, wasn't it? Scotty Parker. As Ferdinand had turned very well, looked as if he was setting off on one of those surging, powerful runs. And Parker came in from behind, and Jeff Winter having to have a stern word with the Charlton Athletic midfield player.
As Ferdinand has had a groin injury that's really troubled him of late. He had to come off against Chelsea last Wednesday, and he was in doubt for this game right up to this morning.
Well, he turned very well, didn't he, Les Ferdinand, and it really is a poor tackle. He's struggling, Les Ferdinand, at the moment, as you rightly said. There's a lot of injury problems.
And no Teddy Sheringham tonight either, of course. And well, Armstrong's not played all season. They're not exactly flush in that department up front. And Huddle will be anxious as the free kick is played in and cleared. Sherwood. Ferdinand back in the action. Rebrov skips around the challenge by Rufus. Anderton's cross is come out to Sherwood. And now Rebrov. Charlton just about holding on there under Spurs' best little period of pressure, and it's not over yet. Ziege. Spurs' pride has been stung, there's no doubt about that, by recent results. And this is payback time tonight as far as they're concerned. Charlton were expecting a backlash. At the moment they're getting it in terms of Tottenham's possession. Sherwood winning it back. Here's Davies, on to Rebrov. Now to Anderton. Ziege forward, so is Ferdinand.
Well, that's better from Spurs, isn't it? It's the first time really we've seen them knock the ball around with some conviction, some sort of confidence, some excellent passing, and then when it finally did come out to Darren Anderton, he provides across to the far post, and you can see one-on-one Les Ferdinand up against Fortune, but Fortune does very well, just steps across Les Ferdinand.
Kiely's goal kick, straight out of play.
Well, I think Glenn Hoddle will be so-so, I think, about the game so far. I think he'll be hoping that they can put Charlton under a little bit more pressure than they have done at the moment. Kept the ball reasonably well without hurting Charlton.
Charlton's away form, he's been excellent this season, and particularly just lately when they've drawn their last three at Leicester, Leeds and Middlesbrough. Just one defeat in their last 8 on the road. That was a 4-1 hammering at Blackburn in January. Rebrov goes down and the referee says play on. Anderton with an excellent tackle. Then in came Bart-Williams. It's getting very tasty in the middle of the field. Parker. Svensson takes over. Euell in the penalty box for Charlton here. And what a disappointing ball. And the crowd unhappy that Tottenham didn't get a free kick.
Well, I think the one thing that perhaps goes against Sergei Rebrov is he does go to ground very, very quickly. And I think Jeff Winter's signalled on 3 or 4 occasions when he has gone down, you know, and the Charlton players are saying, hey, he's taking a little bit too easy of a tumble. But as far as Jeff Winter's concerned, it's nice that he's not going about brandishing yellow cards, but the challenge from Fortune, well, it didn't look an awful lot there, and Rebrov is writhing around in agony on the floor. But as I say, I think Jeff Winter's got it in the back of his mind that he does go to ground too quickly. And that almost goes against players.
Incidentally, Mr. Winter's been very lenient in recent weeks. 2 Premiership games and 1 in the Nationwide League, and he's not shown a single yellow card in any of them.
Well, we can have another look, and there doesn't look an awful lot there, does there, really? Not to warrant the writhing and the antics that we saw from Rebrov after.
Coming off for the moment. The game goes on without him, midway through the first half. And no great surprise that Rebrov almost instantly rejoins the action. Svensson winning another good header. Powell. Svensson's there again. Powell again. And now Jason Euell. But an offside flag stops this Charlton attack. Rufus with the clearing header. Now Chris Bart-Williams. Tempting Powell to get forward. Davies has got to do the defensive part of his job, and Sullivan prevents the corner.
Well, they're almost just cancelling each other out, aren't they? Similar formations, 3 at the back, 5 across the midfield and 2 up front, both teams, and they just seem to be nullifying each other at the moment.
A difficult team to break down, Charlton. They've only conceded 12 goals in their 14 away games before tonight. Arsenal being the only team in the Premiership with a better defensive record on their travels.
Yeah, Alan Kerbishley, Mervyn Day, got them very well organised indeed. And a very good spirit about them as well, haven't they, Charlton Athletic? You know, no disrespect to the players out there, but you see their position in the table and how well they've done. Really do play for each other.
Tim Sherwood is convinced that the ball came off Luke Young there rather than him, but it's a corner.
Well, Luke Young's had a few of these, I think, already in this opening period where they haven't gone for him. This time he gets one. This time it's an opportunity for Charlton to throw the big guns up. Svensson, Fortune, Rufus, Costa, all in there, all capable of causing problems.
Svensson tried to meet it, and so too did Rufus, who made the final contact. What a story that would have been if he could have scored on his return.
Well, it's Anthony Gardner as a player that is picking up Richard Rufus. There's a bit of holding and pushing. I actually think that there should have been another corner. It looks as if there's a slight deflection off the Spurs defender, because that may well have gone in towards the top corner. It isn't far away.
Maybe a bit of justice done there, because I'm not entirely convinced the original corner should have been given. Powell's throw finding its way through to Svensson, and the referee didn't like the high challenge on Perry. Gardner for Tottenham. They'll have a good home record. They've only lost 4 times in 15 Premiership games here, 8 wins and 3 matches drawn. The teams who've won here in the league: Chelsea, Manchester United, Ipswich and Newcastle. Rebrov. Now Anderton for Spurs. This is Davies. International with a positive run forward, finds Anderton. Clearance by Costa, and now Charlton looking dangerous on the break here. 3 against 3 it is, and an extra man joining in for Charlton. Svensson. And there is the extra man, and the layoff, well, not quite accurate enough for Luke Young, and Poyet made it more difficult.
Well, that's a terrific break, wasn't it? One moment they were defending Charlton Athletic, they broke very quickly. Parker again prompting from midfield. Good play. Svensson picks out Stuart. I think he really just makes the wrong choice. That needs to come back across the face of the goal. Gives Luke Young an awful lot to do. But I think where Charlton, we talked about how well they're organised, but it's been difficult so far for Spurs to get their key players into the game.
Stuart's little back here has gone straight to Tottenham. Rebrov. Davies. Ferdinand. Good turn this time. Rebrov finds Davies. Into Ferdinand. It's a great layoff. Was he fouled? Yes. Now this really is a dangerous free kick, potentially.
I'm sure Oleg Kovacic would have been saying to his players before the game, don't give away unnecessary free kicks, especially in and around the box. And you can see Costa just leaning against Les Ferdinand. He isn't going to win it. He might as well just allow Les Ferdinand to try and bring it under control, then perhaps nick it from there. Now this is Ziege or Anderton territory.
The defender did exactly what the attacking player wanted him to do, and the price that he and Charlton might have to pay could be a high one. Five in the defensive wall. Kiely will have a very poor view of the ball. Ziege hits it, but it was never really going to be a threat.
It's almost like David Beckham. You're quite surprised when he doesn't hit the target from distances like that. Terrific left foot. You can see where he's trying to aim for. It's that top corner. It's certainly far too high to trouble the goalkeeper. But I think I talked about those key players. Christian Ziege is a massive player for Spurs. We haven't really seen him bursting forward on the left-hand side. We certainly don't seem to have seen much of Gus Poyet also from that midfield area. Such a threat from midfield, Gus Poyet. Charlton have done very well. They've organised that area of the field well, so it's not allowed him to get forward and join the front two.
Davies hemmed in, and there was no way out for the young Welsh international. Sullivan's clearance was flat, picked up by Stuart in midfield, and again, foul by Anderton. Charlton taking their time over the free kick while the big guns get forward to join Svensson. Costa's going to take it. Rufus caused a real problem with the previous set piece, but not this time. And now they haven't got too many men back defending as Davies takes Tottenham on the counter. Charlton getting players back quickly, but will it be quickly enough as Rebrov's cross is finally met by Rufus, who certainly did get back well. Sherwood under pressure from Parker. It's a lovely ball. King looking for Ferdinand. Now Anderton. Ziege. Gardner. Well, not giving him room to make the cross, but there's Ziege. Oh, what a mess! And they're lucky to get away with that, Charlton. It looked a routine situation, and they made heavy weather of it.
I'll tell you what, it's a brilliant reaction here from Dean Kiely. I'm not sure the shout that he may have given George Costa there, but Les Ferdinand gets the header in. Just have a look at the reaction here from Kiely. Does brilliantly just to get a right hand to that. It was so important because that was heading for the back of the net.
Wonderful reaction by the goalkeeper. Playing his 100th league game for Charlton tonight, by the way. Rebrov with a layup to Poyet. Looking for the early ball to Ferdinand. It eluded him. And Powell forced to concede the throw. 13 minutes and a half remaining. Tottenham turning up the heat. Sherwood. Oh, well run back by Anderton. That's a good header as well. Sherwood, first time, Rebrov.
Terrific build-up, wasn't it? It was slick, it was quick, it was very difficult to defend against. Some excellent play on this right-hand side. And Rebrov there finds far too much room in the box. That'll be an area where they've actually defended reasonably well, Charlton, but Costa and Fortune just having a little bit of an inquest at the reason why Rebrov had far too much room.
Euell. Powell's made a good run, taking the defender away, and that's not a bad ball for Parker. Important challenge, Svensson. Well, Charlton so close. Now it's Tottenham racing forward, trying to hit them on the break. Good tackle. Stuart on Rebrov. Still Spurs have possession with Ziege. Ferdinand. Davies hits it. Well, I'm not sure Rebrov intended that, but it nearly turned into a goal-bound header anyway.
This is Spurs' best period in the football match, Alan. Come on quite strongly over the last 10 minutes.
Was Poyet to Davies, on to Sherwood. Lovely football, Rebrov till that moment. His layoff into space, and that wasn't good enough. Svensson, Euell. Svensson's done brilliantly here. He's got Euell well placed to his left. He might have to go alone.
Oh, and you have a look at the players that Charlton had forward there, really. Svensson had to pick out at least one or two of those. It's a fantastic break, but Jeff Winter just bringing the play back. And it was a tackle by Gardner on Scott Parker in that midfield area. Good refereeing, allowed Charlton to play on. They're in a good position to get forward. That's exactly what they did. But it was a challenge from Gardner on Parker in that central area. some very good industry initially by Svensson and Euell just to set the opening up. You can see the intent there by Gardner, but you can see Euell to his left, he has Stuart to his right, he elects to go all on his own.
Well, the referee couldn't have been much closer to that. In fact, Gardner nearly tackled him. And Mr. Winter, after 3 games, keeping his cards in his pocket, really had no choice here other than to caution the Spurs youngster.
Yeah, as you've rightly said, he's very close to it. There you can see the referee, he even skipped, didn't he, Jeff Winter, when Anthony Gardner made the tackle. He had a little jump.
But after all that, it was a chance for Charlton. Parker. Good ball for Stuart. Bart-Williams instinctively knew that Powell was on that left-hand side. Euell. And Bart-Williams returns it to Euell. Svensson far post, he's looked for him. It wasn't a bad ball, was it?
Oh, it's a brilliant build-up. From the initial ball from Chris Bart-Williams that went out to Chris Powell, then the build-up again. Bart-Williams threading a super ball through to Jason Euell. There's some poor marking there, really had to be Ledley King that came across. It was too late, and unfortunately the cross eluded a couple of Charlton players, but some good, incisive, bright play by the visitors.
Here's King. Poyet. Now Bart-Williams for Charlton. Again, picking out Jason Euell. Parker. That's not a bad ball, is it? It was a good challenge by Ziege. One wing back against the other as he denied Luke Young. Anderton. Perry's clearance met by Bart-Williams. Young again for Charlton. That's disappointing and easily cleaned up by Perry.
Well, I think they've been excellent, Charlton. I think they've defended stoutly. I think the 3 centre-halves have primarily done a very good, sound job. I think they've looked organised in midfield. When they've had to break, they've done that. The front 2 at times have troubled Spurs. I'm sure that Alan Kirbishley will be hoping that they continue like this, certainly through till half-time.
The home fans not happy about the late challenge there by Young. Free quite happy. Anderton. Sherwood's gone down injured under the challenge from Scott Parker. Costa with the clearance. Sherwood just picking himself up, but there are man light in the middle of the field as Parker fills that gap for Charlton. And now Svensson. Sherwood back in the action again. Poyet wins it back, but not for long. Dispossessed by Bart-Williams. That's a good ball to Young. Euell's taken up a good position in the middle here. Great defending by Perry.
I think one of the reasons why Charlton have done so well is that the room that Scott Parker seems to be getting in that midfield area. He really has drove Charlton forward on a number of occasions, done very well in there.
Got plenty in the box here, Charlton. Well, they're going to have to settle for a corner. Well, Spurs have had a warning. An earlier corner that Richard Rufus met with real power.
Well, one of their favourite routines is that ball near post. Costa is the player that's in that area. Williams just tends to flight the ball in, open for a flick on.
Out goes Svensson. Good strong fist away by Sullivan. Parker. Lifted into Svensson. Close.
Well, he wasn't far away. That's a couple of occasions there. Some poor defending, really. Just look at the room that Parker has on the edge of the box. Ziege doesn't really look to close him down with any conviction. And then that's that little half a yard that Svensson gets, and it's a difficult header to try and get towards the goal.
The Swedish international has won back his place in recent weeks after a season that's largely been ruined by injuries. In fact, both these clubs have suffered more than their fair share of casualties over the campaign. Here's Rebrov. Lay off by Davies. Rebrov's cross. Poyet nearly met it in an important position. Charlton breathe again.
Excellent ball. Really was. Once again, Rebrov, talked earlier, he's been very busy. Getting himself into a crossing position wide right. That's what they love to do, get in those wide areas, get Poyet into the box.
Battling King. Simon Davies again. Foul given against Anderton. Well, we've got a cracking game for you on this channel on Sunday when we're at Anfield for a really vital match at the top of the FA Barclaycard Premiership table. It's Liverpool against Chelsea, and it kicks off at 2. King's clearance to Davies. Costa. The angle easy for himself. Svensson, he's so good in the air, he wins 90% of those challenges. Clearance by Rufus, straight out of play, Tottenham's throw. It's now 5 seasons, by the way, since Spurs finished in the top half of the Premiership. It's a disappointing record for a club of their size and stature. Their best since the Premiership was formed, 7th under Jerry Francis some 7 years ago now. Here's Stuart for Charlton. You all seem a bit unlucky there, but the free kick's come against them nonetheless.
Well, Tim Sherwood's certainly been in the wars. He's had a couple of knocks, and he seems to have been in a little bit of pain, but Jason Euell just reaching, searching to try and keep that ball. But I think so far it seems to be so good for Alan Kirbishley's team. They've worked incredibly hard, they've been difficult to break down, they've come with a good game plan. They've tried to stifle Spurs, especially in that midfield area. One of the things that we talked about earlier in the programme, Alan, was that how well Spurs played at the beginning of the season because their passing was so slick and they seemed to be getting players into wide areas. Teddy Sheringham was such a focal point, but over the last 3 or 4 weeks it's been a real struggle for Glenn Hoddle's team.
Painful blow on the knee here for Sherwood.
Well, he's just really trying to protect in front of his back four, and Jason Euell, I think he's just honestly going for the ball. Tim Sherwood there, as I say, been in the wars over the last 10-15 minutes or so.
4th season at Tottenham for him, and lost his place earlier in the season, but is now back and playing so well that he wears the captain's armband. So we'll restart with a Spurs free kick. We'll have to do it with 10 men on the field for the moment. Oh, what a header by Ferdinand. And again. Poyet couldn't control it. Costa's clearance, dropping between 2 of the centre-backs awkwardly. But Perry is as calm as they come. Now King. Sherwood's just been waved back on by the referee. Well, that was a fluke. It came to Davies after the 2 centre-backs inadvertently got in each other's way. Anderton.
Well, it was a bit messy defending, wasn't it, originally from Charlton. It was Costa who Fortune going for the same ball. Really did get the communication all mixed up. Once again, it's bits and pieces again from Spurs. Darren Anderton trying his luck from all the 20-25 yards.
King. Powell nips in ahead of Davies. Svensson for Charlton. Euell's on the run, and that's a great ball. Will it drop? Well, Ziege made sure it didn't.
Good defending from Christian Ziege. Just covered around Anthony Gardner. You could see that Gardner was going to be in trouble. Again, just look at the room that Parker's having in midfield.
And this time Young gets in behind Ziege. Good save by Sullivan. Oh, you can imagine how overjoyed he'd have been if that one had gone in.
Wow, what a chance. But again, look at the room that Scott Parker has to play that ball in behind Christian Ziege. He'd be very disappointed, Luke Young, because it's there, it's waiting. But he hits Neil Sullivan's legs.
Young has never scored a goal at club level for either Spurs or Charlton. He did score once for England's under-21 team. And the header by Costa onto the roof of the net.
That's the routine. Seen it time and time again from Charlton. Chris Bart-Williams floating that ball to the near post. Costa just coming off his marker, trying to get a little flick. You can see up against him, Sherwood does very well, the Portuguese international, but again, like Svensson 10 minutes earlier, can't direct his header towards the goal.
He's another one still waiting for his first Charlton goal. Ferdinand's header at the other end. Costa let it run through. Now Parker. Spurs backing away. But Sherwood knew what he was doing. There's Ziege. Gardner picks out Anderton. Good ball for Rebrov. Danger for Charlton here. Well, Rebrov chose to lay it off, and in fairness to him, that was probably the right decision, but Parker did brilliantly.
He's been outstanding, Alan. He's been outstanding in the first half, Scott Parker. When he's been on the ball, he's certainly opened things up for Charlton, and he's also defended very well for them.
And here's Rebrov getting into good space again. Costa the defender this time. He's lost him for the moment. Anderton. This is Sherwood. Looking for Ferdinand. A good header away by Bart-Williams, and a late corner in first half stoppage time for Tottenham. Anderton's kick was good. Poyet met it, and then almost turned in. I think it was Gardner who was nearest to the line. That's a dramatic end. Could have been even more dramatic to the first half, with Spurs coming close to a goal. Dean Kiely's made a couple of fine saves to keep a clean sheet for Charlton, and there was that one very good stop a moment or two ago by Neil Sullivan to deny the former Tottenham player Luke Young. Thanks to that, we've reached the interval with a goalless scoreline, 0-0 at White Hart Lane.
Yes, no goals at the Lane, not too much to shout about either, just an occasional half chance at each end. The best perhaps, this one. Les Ferdinand's header, Dean Kiely's exceptional save. The views of Clive Allen and Paul Walsh come next. Half-time at White Hart Lane, Tottenham 0, Charlton 0. Thoughts so far, gentlemen? Not exactly a classic, but warming up, I think, a little.
Yeah, warming up, half chances. I think that really Tottenham haven't hurt Charlton with the possession they've had, especially in the final third. They've knocked crosses in, they've not really opened Charlton up, but I think certainly Charlton possess a threat, especially on the counter-attack.
You see it like that, Paul?
Yeah, I think Charlton have worked ever so hard. They've made sure they don't give any of the Tottenham midfielders time on the ball, apart from Ferdinand, who's had like chances here and there. I think Charlton have, like I say, worked hard and looked dangerous on the break, and if Luke Young could have stuck that one in, who knows.
Let's have a look at Les's chances. I mean, obviously he missed 2 or 3, I guess, in the Worthington Cup final.
Yeah, I mean, he just backs away from, I think it's George Costa there. And he's stooping down. There's not a lot of pace on the ball. He can just direct it towar's that far post, and that's a great
save, isn't it?
Great handout from Kiely there, and it's a great stop.
Right on half-time.
Yeah, this was one that's on target. I'm not so sure if it's Gardner who's actually got in the way of it, or whether Kiely wouldn't have seen too much of it. That was a good stop right on the stroke of half-time.
Richard Rufus, we pulled him out before the game. He's been out of this game of ours since last August with knee ligaments. Yeah. And he's just been fantastic.
He's back now, Bob, I can assure you.
Yeah,
fantastic
right,
first half performance from him.
Well, that's a great header away, isn't it? I mean, but it's not this is the interception, and he gets straight up, he's sliding in, he's straight up.
This is when you know you're back, Bob, a tackle like this, when you've been out for a long time, you've had an injury, and you have to be totally committed, and he could have even got himself on the score sheet. I think that Anthony Gardner is actually pulling him.
Yeah.
He gets a run on him.
You were shouting a foul, weren't you?
Yeah, his right arm was across him, pulling his shirt back, but I think that that was a fantastic 45 minutes in his comeback from long-term injury.
He looks like he's making up for lost time, doesn't he? Been out for most of the season.
Well, good luck to him, he deserves it. Charlton, I guess they've had more chances in a way, haven't they? I mean, we could pick out, what, 3 or 4 chances here?
Yeah, I mean, Tottenham have probably had slightly better possession, but this is one who's Graham Stuart, shot from the edge of the box,
snatched
quite
it a bit,
nicely.
didn't
He didn't quite get hold of it, and it wasn't quite on target. But they have had the better moments, I feel, going forward. I think this is Euell.
It's a wonderful move,
yeah,
isn't
great
it?
Breakthrough on the left and slides it across the box, but Charlton
just needs it's Graham Stuart who's the furthest advanced midfield player. He really is one of the forwards to get across that near post. But it has been they've looked slightly more incisive, especially in the final third. And Svensson, again, he's been unfortunate on a couple of occasions that the ball's just fallen to him behind him, and he can't get a clear cut.
The old Tottenham boy here. That's a great ball. This is Luke Young.
I think you could sense glory there, don't you? That was poor defending from Ziege. He's got on the back of him, and at the end, he doesn't quite show the calmness that perhaps he needed to finish it off. It would have probably been nothing more than they deserved.
It is difficult to see a goal, never mind predict a winner here.
Well, I just said that I didn't think Charlton would lose, and I still feel that way, and I certainly still feel that they're creating enough, but it doesn't mean that Tottenham haven't created anything. Ferdinand's had chances, but I think his confidence is low at the minute, and it's just not going for him in front of goal.
Glenn's thoughts?
I think he'll want more quality in the final third, and really to try to create a clear-cut opportunity. That hasn't happened in the first 45 minutes.
Alan Kirbish's thoughts?
He'll want more of the same, I think. Working hard, nice and solid, don't give anything silly away, and concentrate at the back.
OK. Well, stay with us for a chance to win in our great competition, and of course the second half live from White Hart Lane. See you again in a few moments. Hello again. Tottenham 0, Charlton 0 at White Hart Lane. The second half coming up shortly. But first, a chance to win the ultimate in home viewing football comfort. Bart-Williams with the details.
This is the Lazy Boy armchair. Complete with built-in phones so you can call your friends when their team is losing 5-0. It's also got a back massager just in case the stress gets to you. And if that's not enough, there's a built-in fridge to keep the drinks cold while you watch the match. All you have to do is correctly identify the Premiership player with the record number of appearances. Is it A, Gary Speed, B, Roy Keane, or C, Tony Adams of Arsenal? That's the player with the most Premiership appearances. You can telephone us on 0901 47 47 543. Email us at premiership@itv.entries.co.uk. And I should tell you that the lines close on March the 31st, and we will reveal the winner during coverage of Blackburn Rovers against Southampton on this channel. Good luck.
Yeah, good luck with your entry there. Spurs 0, Charlton 0 after 45 minutes. We need a moment of brilliance here, lads, don't we?
I think so, yes. We need some real quality in the final third, and that hasn't been evident to this point anyway.
Can you explain to me why wasn't Scott Parker booked? And why was Anthony Gardner booked? I mean, can you... I don't understand this. I mean, Jeff Winter has been strangely lenient, hasn't he, over the last couple of games? We know that.
I think it's good the referees are trying to be lenient, but when there's a bookable offence, it's a certainty. I think you know, they've got to be consistent and give it. And he has been a bit inconsistent because Gardner's been booked and Scotty Parker should have been booked.
But he's not. You know, he's not booked anybody for the last 3 games, which for Jeff Winter is quite something.
Well, I think perhaps he took into context the nature of the game, a London derby. He knows he's going to be fast and furious. But I think that the one thing that certainly upsets the players and managers and coaches is this inconsistency. How does he deem one tackle that's not a bookable offence and a similar one that is? That's where
let's have a look at it. Let's have a look first of all at Scott Parker, which is on Les Ferdinand, isn't it?
Yeah, this was probably the first tackle of note whereby I felt it was a dangerous tackle and he should have got booked. Les turns away from him here as we see it. He strikes for the ball but completely misses it, and he catches Les, and I think Les has perhaps struggled since then. It was as we see from this angle, he does strike for the ball but he completely misses it and then makes contact.
Chloe shows him just a bit of the ball and then just nicks it a little bit further forward. This is a bit similar in a way because this just gets taken away from him at the last seconds as he's committed.
And I think you look at Anthony Gardner, he's just looking at the ball, he's just trying to make contact with the ball.
But he's let play go on, hasn't he?
He
came back and booked him,
yes,
didn't he?
that's right.
But it always looks worse in slow motion, doesn't it? When that's done just in the heat of the moment. You know, these are fractions of a second late, these tackles, but you know, you're either booking for those things or you're not booking them. Because, I mean, is it intent or was it just a late tackle?
Evidently, there's only been 1 draw between these two in the last 43 meetings, I'm being told at this moment. 1 goalless draw, that is. So, you know,
well, the records are good then. The omens are good that we should get some goals. I think certainly, for me, Charlton possess the biggest threat on the counter-attack than Spurs actually do with the controlled possession they've had without opening Charlton up.
Are you anticipating any changes?
I could quite possibly see Glenn introducing Stefan Iversen. I think they need a little bit more punch up front. I know that Rebrov is roaming and he has been elusive, but without providing the ammunition that certainly Les would want.
I think Charlton might bring Lisby on at some stage because he's been in good form and he's a very slippery customer. But really for Charlton it's just got to be more of the same, nice and hard working, and they have created chances and they'll continue to do that the second half if they play the same way.
I think we should remind everybody, although you're suggesting anyway, Paul, that you quite fancy Charlton to win this game, it's those guys in the white shirts there who are desperate to get 3 points here tonight.
Oh, most certainly, yes, because you know, it's been disastrous. It looks like Stefan Iversen is being introduced, and I'm not surprised about that. I think it's probably Les Ferdinand who hasn't re-emerged for the second half.
Yeah, and from Charlton's point of view, I mean, I just think that, you know, they've got to play it exactly the same way. The big battle is with the wing-backs, really. Iversen's been a danger going forward, but we saw him slip up a little bit defensively when Luke Young got in there, and I think they're the key areas still.
Are you still going for Charlton, Paul?
Well, a draw or a Charlton win. I think the draws are more likely, to be honest.
What about you, Clive?
Well, I backed Tottenham to win, I must be honest, Bob, but at the moment it's looking like a draw for me.
OK, well, it's 0-0 at the Lane on this muddy pitch. It's actually playing quite well considering all the rain that there's been in North London during the afternoon. Let's now rejoin our match commentators for the second half. Brian Marwood, and first it's Alan Parry.
Welcome back. Spurs at least will be pleased to have got to this stage with a clean sheet. They have one of the worst defensive records in the Premiership. Before tonight, they conceded 44 goals in 29 games. They'd scored a respectable 39 themselves. Just 1 clean sheet in their last dozen Premiership matches. And now, of course, with a new strike force, Ferdinand off injured, Iversen on in his place. Perry defending at the other end, and Davies unable to keep it in play. Svensson. The conditions still very difficult here. It might look still on your TV screens, but believe me, there's a very strong wind blowing across the pitch, and the pitch itself still heavy and boggy, even though mercifully it stopped raining now. Little slip there by Jason Euell. Svensson almost profited.
Well, it's messy at times, isn't it, from Spurs, and Charlton will be hoping to build on the form that they showed in the first period. Very solid and strong at the back. combative and inventive in midfield, in particular Scott Parker, who I think's had an excellent first half. Been looking to try and get Luke Young on this right-hand side, very nearly profited from a wonderful ball from Scott Parker. Only had Neil Sullivan to beat, but he'll be disappointed not to have scored against his former club.
Charlton, by the way, have won only once in their last 8 visits to White Hart Lane. That was 16 years ago now. Can they get something from this attack? Svensson's shot, blocked by Perry. The corner prevented, and then King makes sure it becomes a goal kick, hammering his clearance against Svensson.
Well, they've certainly had a liking for the other London clubs, haven't they, Charlton Athletic? Unbeaten in their last 11 league games against London sides, and Alan Kirbishley would have been absolutely delighted with their performance so far, as he would have been over the course of the season. Not many games now to go, and they're sitting very well indeed in the Premiership.
Slightly concerned about is the tough matches they still have to play. Manchester United, Arsenal, Liverpool and Newcastle, and 3 of those 4 games are away. They seem to have enough points not to worry, but you never know in this season. There's Ziege under a bit of pressure from Young. Clearance straight to Stuart. Euell's made a run and he picks him out. Came off the defender, corner.
Well, that's a fabulous ball in there from Graham Stuart. He has 1 player to hit. That's all he's got, and Jason Euell makes a fabulous run, but excellent defending from Ledley King. Just make sure that he gets across also, Jason Euell. The ball certainly would have been heading towards a target.
They look dangerous so far at set pieces, Charlton. Not this one, the delivery much too flat. Cleared by Ziege. Sherwood gets away. Young's attempted cross and a good layup by Iversen. Davies scampering forward and holding off Parker's challenge. Sherwood. Now King. Anderton. And again. A little over elaborate in the end by Tottenham.
Well, again, just missing that fluency that they seem to have in abundance early on in the season. Things like that seem to be coming off for them time and time again, but at the moment, whether it's the lack of confidence of their previous results or the state of the pitch, but it just hasn't been flowing for Spurs this evening.
Sherwood flowing for them now and finding Rebrov. The captain takes over again. Here's Davies, difficult ball to control. Powell gets it away. Sherwood. Now Anderton. This is Iversen. Rebrov. Back to Anderton, but Costa in a good position to just guide it out of play.
Well, they certainly need to get Darren Anderton more into the game. I think Tim Sherwood and the players in midfield is just going to sit and hold, but Anderton, Poyet, they've got to try and get them joining forward more and more, because they will be a threat from that area of the field. Capable of scoring goals. Poyet's got 12 goals this season. Anderton has got 5.
Parker. Svensson. And on to Stuart, the return for Svensson. Timely challenge by Gardner. Corner.
Well, it was an important challenge, wasn't it, from Anthony Gardner? One previously from Ledley King. 2 21-year-olds who look as if they have a very impressive future ahead of them.
Bart-Williams will be hoping for a better delivery this time than the previous corner. Plenty of targets for him to try and pick out. But it's Rebrov who gets it away. Another disappointing set piece, really.
Well, I'm surprised they've changed the routine, because that one that Chris Bart-Williams was looking to play towards the near post very nearly came off on 2 or 3 occasions. And then in the second period, they've elected to change that.
There's Bart-Williams again, Svensson's layoff. seems to be there when the ball runs loose. And Euell, good return ball as well. That was an excellent move.
He's been excellent.
Yeah, I'm going to say the outstanding Parker at the heart of it again.
He's been superb, hasn't he? Just look at the confidence and the delivery to slot little passes through in tight areas, and then taking the game to Spurs. For me,
Poyet arriving on the scene late as usual and going quite close.
Well, Parker did it at one end, Poyet did it at the other. This is what we are more accustomed to see from Gus Poyet, this area of the field. Just going back to Scott Parker, he really has had drive and purpose in that central midfield area. I think he's been the outstanding individual on view here this evening so far.
21, and he's played in every Premiership match this season. Svensson. Sullivan looking now for Iversen. It breaks for Bart-Williams. Good early ball, Svensson. Good layoff from him to Parker. Excellent move this by Charlton. Euell. And now Stuart. Still got that width. Powell's done well to get to the byline. Svensson just beaten to the cross though by young Gardner.
I've got a threat to them, haven't they, Charlton Athletic? Seems to be growing in confidence as this game has gone on. Taking the game now to Spurs, putting them under pressure.
Notable away wins this season, who of course was a few miles away from here when they won in that astonishing game, beating Arsenal 4-2 at Highbury. Stuart's given it away to Ziege. Poyet. Again, it was Parker making the challenge. Referee plays play on this time with Spurs in possession and on the attack. Anderton. Sherwood. Lifted towards Iversen. And Rufus just got enough on the ball to clear. Corner.
That's a threatening ball, wasn't it, from Tim Sherwood? Jeff Whitner just having a word with one or two players, but it's a fantastic ball to the far post. Rufus has to deal with it, he has no alternative.
Goal line almost directly in front of the goalkeeper, but before that the referee wants to have a word, I think, with Christian Ziege.
Well, the referee just calming the pair of them down. Bart-Williams' tackle on Ziege was late, but the German just kicked out at Chris Bart-Williams. But Jeff Whitner, I really do believe, has handled the game very sensibly indeed this evening. He's allowed play to flow whenever possible, hasn't gone around brandishing yellow cards.
Trying to get clear of his marker. Fortune here. It was a very good corner.
Oh, what a delivery that was. Really was crying out for somebody to get on the end of it. It's a brilliant header from Chris Bart-Williams.
Now back in towards Poyet again. And Charlton close the door once more. Bart-Williams with the long clearance straight to Perry. Here's Davies. Now Sherwood. Ball there. Mr. Winter was 1-0. King survived 2 tackles. Iversen. A good ball that was for Rebrov, who's got inside Powell, and again brilliant skill and great defending by Costa.
Well, Rebrov's for me certainly been Spurs' best player. Good build-up, but wonderful quick feet by Sergei Rebrov. Really does get himself into a threatening situation.
As Anderton crosses, and nothing comes of it.
Well, a couple of opportunities for Spurs. Fans aren't happy. They feel they ought to have profited first from the cross from Rebrov, then another one from Darren Anderton. But it's wonderful footwork. Just look at the quickness, the movement, the mobility that takes him past Chrissy Powell, and then he's looking for the ball into that area, looking for players to get on the end of it, but there's no one there other than Costa.
Loses out. That could be important. Iversen. No room for the cross, but Rebrov there to help. And now Darren Anderton. Poyet. He felt it should have been a free kick, and so did 30,000 Tottenham fans. Perry gets it away from danger. Poyet's there. And now on to Darren Anderton. Loses out to Luke Young. Parker for Charlton, again getting quite stretched now. Both teams going for this first goal. Powell. Young. Here's Stuart. Bart-Williams with the ball over the top, but Jason Euell is offside.
Well, I was quite surprised that we haven't had a goal, really, because there's been some good movement. It's a little bit unfortunate, Jason Euell just trying to spin off the back of Ledley King, getting in behind the young Tottenham defender.
Costa's clearance taken on the wind. Ziege. Stuart. Now Young took a ball for Svensson. Stuart. Parker. Get round the referee. And lifts it towards Euell. That was the intention anyway. Just got too much on it.
You know, you get the feeling if Charlton can find that little bit of extra quality in the final third, then there's some goals here for them.
Iversen. Turn forward to Ziege. On the far post, Rebrov. Oh, he did really well to make that effort.
That wasn't an easy one for Kiely to take at the end. But a promising move from Spurs. They managed to get players forward, enough in the box, but just dropping in front of Kiely, but he collects it very well.
Long ball by Costa, not good enough really. King with an easy clearance.
Huddled down on the touchline, just urging his team to try and take the game to Charlton a little bit more, and still some confidence in his side. In bits and pieces performance, at times he've looked very good.
Is this to be one of those times? Ziege. Iversen. The knock back towards Rebrov, but in comes Kiely to take control.
Well, it's the only place that Stefan Iversen can put that header. That's back towards the danger area, and he's looking for a player to react. There's no one, is there? There's just no anticipation in that area.
Parker. Oh, it's a lovely ball for Svensson. And again, Tottenham had good cause to thank Gardner for his awareness of danger. Svensson. This is Young. Needs a bit of help here, and gets it from Bart-Williams. Young again, and did that come off the Tottenham man, Darren Anderton? It did. It's a corner. An hour gone, just over, and still we await the first goal here at White Hart Lane. 3-1 to Charlton when the teams met at the Valley in December. a good clearance by Ziege. It's fallen kindly for Young, back into the crowd of players, and away by Gus Poyet. Now Powell. Rufus is still there, so too is Svensson. And now Euell. Bart-Williams. Costa. Well, that was a sloppy ball that he might pay for, but Spurs just can't get enough men forward quickly enough. Ziege did well to win that back. Anderton. One of those frustrating sort of matches where every time it looks as though something's going to open up, somebody gets a block or a good tackle in, but maybe not now. Chance for Poyet! Should have been 1-0, and he'll admit that, I'm sure.
Well, he hasn't really been in that area of the field as enough of what his manager would want from him, but it's a surging run. It's a fabulous ball from Tim Sherwood, but give a lot of credit to the Charlton Athletic goalkeeper, Dean Kiely. I actually think he gets something on this. Just enough of a touch, but he's got himself a goal kick. But it's a great first touch with his chest. He gets into that area time and time again. It's profited to the tune of 12 goals this season for the 34-year-old Gus Poyet. I actually think it's an excellent save, but I was wondering up till then whether Glenn Hoddle was contemplating changes. But when you look at that bench, there's not an awful lot there to choose from an attacking sense. Perhaps Etherington may well come into his thinking at some point.
Iversen, who did come on at half-time, he's missed the last 4 games as well with an injury. Now Rebrov. A strong tackle that was by young Jonathan Fortune.
Well, they don't hold back, do they, these Charlton centre-backs? We've seen it for Richard Rufus, then we've seen it from Jonathan Fortune.
21-year-old who'd never played in the first team before this season. He's now chalked up 19 appearances. Rufus got ahead of Iversen unfairly, according to referee Winter. Free kick. But it's the sort of night when a set piece has looked the most likely way of breaking the deadlock.
Well, this is a long way out for Anderton or Ziege, so you'd have to think that perhaps the ball rolled back and Anderton just chipping the ball into a melee of players.
Gardner's header back. Rebrov couldn't get enough distance on the cross. There's Ziege again. Perry. It was loose. King. Anderton. Good ball for Poyet. Once again, the tackle goes in when it has to, from Charlton's point of view. Powell slicing his clearance, though.
Well, the initiative is on Spurs. They're the home side, Alan. They've got to really try and take the game to Charlton, but I've got to say once again, Charlton really have been superbly well organised, been very disciplined, and in certain areas where they've needed to be, particularly that midfield area.
Iversen. Poyet's there again, and again he's denied by Kiely.
Well, I was just complimenting how well Charlton were defensively, and the concentration and focus was lost here. Just look at Chris Bart-Williams, he goes to sleep. And Gus Poyet, once again, fabulous chest control, takes him into the danger area. But full credit to the goalkeeper, Dean Kiely, it's an excellent stop.
Gardner under pressure from Euell.
Kerbishley is not looking particularly happy now at the touchline. So far it's been so good, but now Spurs have just got that little taste, that scent. A couple of chances for Poyet, 2 excellent saves.
And now even Gardner's joining the attack. very successfully on this occasion. Euell to Stuart. Early ball for Parker. It was awkward. And Poyet did well. Sherwood. Anderton looking again for the Uruguayan. Rufus got across in front of him. Now Rebrov with the ball for Ziege. Whipped away off his toe by Luke Young. Back in again by Davies. Ziege's there once more. So too is Poyet yet again. Heroic defending by Charlton. But can they hold out here? Yes.
Well, it's a fabulous spell, isn't it?
Well, Parker was taken out there. I don't know how the referee didn't give a free kick, but he didn't. And Spurs counter with Sherwood.
Excellent defending. But once again, Poyet is the threat. Over the last 15 minutes, Alan, he really has made some excellent runs into the box. Some poor defending, though, at times, in particular Chris Bart-Williams for the last opportunity he had, but full credit to the goalkeeper.
Svensson wins a header at the other end. Should be Sullivan's, and is. 3/4 of the way through the game. Still 0-0. Rebrov. Rufus winning it back. Here's King for Tottenham. That's a clever little ball by Rufus for Svensson, and he's got support from Stuart and Euell. Here's Stuart. Euell on the far post. Well, it wasn't, I'm sure, what he intended, but in these windy conditions, the ball could have ended up anywhere.
Well, it's a very good break. It's a wonderful ball from Richard Rufus. He's made some excellent tackles, but that time supplied a fantastic ball to Svensson. The reverse pass. Graham Stuart looking to dig this ball out and get it to Jason Euell at the far post. Can't wrap his foot around it.
Powell finding himself dispossessed, but Charlton get a goal kick.
Well, I think Alan Kirbishley feels they've got a little bit too stretched now. He's just saying to his players, you know, we've got to be a little bit more compact. We've got to make it harder for them to break us down. We've done that for the best part of this game, but over the last 10 or 15 minutes, Spurs, I talked about that initiative. They're the home side, tactically just thinking and contemplating something with his assistant John Gorman and Chrissy Houghton.
Fortune's clearance, and he did have a bit of fortune as it broke for Bart-Williams. Well, they've only lost 3 times in 14 away games in the Premiership this season, Charlton. It's a record that really is comparable to most of the leading clubs. 4 wins, 7 draws. Coming up to 20 minutes remaining. They will feel they deserve something out of this game for sure. Stuart does well. Parker, as usual, available in the heart of things. Now Svensson. The captain's there again, looking this time for Euell in the middle, and in behind him is Powell. Unbelievable. 2 goals in something like 150 appearances for Charlton, and they've both been scored against Tottenham.
Well, this is incredible. He's just taken a gamble. That's all Chrissy Powell has done. Jason Euell does well, but Ledley King, he's the culprit. He doesn't deal with it. It's just a hopeful ball in. And this is just about strength and muscle, but Ledley King doesn't deal with it. Chrissy Powell just really takes the initiative to Spurs. He's thinking, right, I'm just going to take a gamble here, and he gets his rewards for it. It's a scrappy goal. But you've got to say, really, Charlton have deserved something. They really have battled their way right through the course of this game. I think it actually came off his thigh.
It's his first ever goal in the Premiership for Charlton. 156 games before tonight. Straight away they're under threat as Spurs look for an instant equaliser. The tackle was as ferocious as ever in the middle of the field. Well, what on earth was Powell doing there? Is the first question that Spurs will want an answer to.
Well, I think when you're playing with 5 at the back, you're looking for your wing-backs to push on, but he just took a gamble, Alan, and got his just rewards. Well, this is a big test now for Spurs. Having had those recent defeats against Chelsea twice and Manchester United, now find themselves 1-0 down on a difficult surface where it's troublesome to play the type of football that they want to play. And it's that change that I thought that Glenn Hoddle may make. Matthew Etherington, his left foot, will look to get forward. I just wonder whether they'll just change the shape of their side, Spurs, to accommodate Etherington.
The 20-year-old who's played only half a dozen league games this season, about to come on and try and rescue another match in which Tottenham have fallen a goal behind. Iversen with the touch under Poyet, who might well have scored on 2 occasions before Powell did for Charlton. Spurs have a free kick. These are troubled times for Tottenham, and Charlton will take no sympathy. Ziege, Anderton and Sherwood all over the ball. It looks set up for the left-footed German international. Ziege takes, but once again can't hit the target.
Well, he's had a couple of opportunities from round about that area of the field, and he really has disappointed. You expect far better from Christian Ziege.
Rebrov is the player who's being sacrificed to make way for Etherington. Rebrov not exactly overjoyed himself. He's disappeared straight down the tunnel back to the dressing rooms.
I'm interested to see what they do with Gus Poyet now. He has been playing as a midfield player, but I think they're just going to sling him forward up front alongside Stefan Iversen. Etherington will play in that 3 in midfield perhaps.
Gardner. Perry. Really want it there with Jason Euell breathing down his neck. There's King. Davies. Powell doing well to win it back and find Bart-Williams. Svensson. Parker. Svensson dispossessed this time. Anderton runs straight into Rufus, who was brought down by the Tottenham man.
To show all their organisational skills now, Charlton, for this last quarter, because they know Spurs will try and throw quite a bit at them. But they've been brilliant this evening, well organised, well marshalled, disciplined in the right areas. In Scott Parker, I think they've had the game's best player. He's been outstanding in midfield. He's been the driving force.
Foul on Svensson by Gardner. Tough remaining fixtures that Charlton face, 3 points tonight would be very welcome indeed. It'll take them on to 41. Bart-Williams free kick, that's dangerous. And Fortune keeps it in the danger area, not now. Poyet. Clever. Etherington's made a great run. He's trying to pick him out. Charlton have played well enough to believe they can go on and take the points here. And the Spurs have to start making gambles now. Charlton could even get another. Young for that. And he almost got a bit over-eager at the sight of goal. And he's got some chasing back to do now. It's too far for him to recover in time as Ziege takes Spurs forward. Etherington. It's a good ball. Anderton into the danger area. Well, that was a foul.
Great refereeing though. I think he's had a wonderful game, Jeff Winter. Just allowed play to go on. Charlton had good possession on that left-hand side.
Here's Svensson again. Stuart, Parker, Euell. Svensson loses possession. How important could that be? Etherington. He's done well. Very well. Anderton. Sherwood. It wouldn't sit down for him to shoot straight away. But here's Davies. Iversen. Splendid control by him. Got away with a rather fortunate deflection against his arm. Here's Ziege.
Some brave defending again, but I'm sure Spurs will point to those two Gus Poyet opportunities. Two fantastic saves though from Dean Kiely, and the Uruguayan looked as if he was certain to score on at least one of those occasions.
Iversen's layoff, but then the ball straight to Bart-Williams. Spurs with only 3 wins in their last 12 Premiership games. 3 heavy defeats in recent weeks. The last thing they need is to go down again tonight. King for them. They'll throw everything at Charlton in this last 12 minutes. You can be sure of that. Poyet. Come to Etherington. Anderton. And again.
Well, they're trying to be precise, but you can see they're lacking in confidence. Tottenham Hotspur. They're working hard to break this resolute Charlton side down, but it's just not going right for them. But we can have a look at the goal again from Chris Powell. What a bonus. Managing to get him into such a crucial area of the field, but he just took a gamble. Once Graham Stuart knocked that ball in the danger area, but Ledley King doesn't deal with it. He gets caught in 2 minds, and Chris Powell just sticks out a leg. I actually think it came off his thigh.
Back comes Spurs again with Ziege. Etherington. Parker's there again. Svensson. That's a lovely ball for Euell to chase, just picked up pace. Well, Charlton have got this fantastic record against their fellow London clubs, unbeaten in 7 games this season. If there was a league table just of capital city Premiership clubs, Charlton would be top of it. And they're threatening to do the business again here.
I think Alan Kirbysh is contemplating making a change, Alan, perhaps just to freshen things up. Some legs and bodies out there are going to be a little bit tired. It's a really heavy pitch and they've worked tremendously hard.
The hard work isn't over by any means. 10 minutes to go, they lead 1-0. Ziege plays it in. It was awkward for Iversen as it fell to him after the little flick on by Poyet.
Well, it's just not happening for them, is it? Just look at the Spurs players queuing up, really, to try and do something with this cross. Initially Poyet, then you've got Iversen, and then Ledley King. Hands on his knees at the far post. It just doesn't drop kindly to them, does it?
Terrific game on Sunday on this channel from the FA Barclaycard Premiership. It's Liverpool against Chelsea at Anfield. It kicks off at 2 o'clock. Don't miss that. Svensson returns it into the path of Euell. Oh, good work by Sullivan. Twice. Ziege gets it back from Gardner. On to Poyet. Anderton. And now Iversen. encouraged to press the ball earlier, so he leaves it to Etherington. Tim Sherwood. Snaps into the challenge. It's gone to Gardner every time they clear now. Charlton, it seems to be coming straight back. And here's another occasion. Now out quickly, and that was an important tackle to win.
Oh, brilliant. They pushed on now, Spurs. Centre halves are coming forward, trying to join in. And Charlton now making that anticipated substitution.
Tough character for a tough situation in the last 8 minutes. Well, he's going to replace the outstanding player of the night, and no wonder he's going off to a standing ovation. Scott Parker was absolutely superb. On his place, another of the youngsters that Charlton have produced so successfully over the years, 20 years old Paul Konchesky. He's been first choice, in fact, for most of the season. He's lost his place, well, today, certainly. But now he can make a contribution in the last few minutes to help Charlton protect this 1-0 lead.
Well, what they're going to do is just play with the one up front, Svensson. Jason Euell will just come into midfield. Konchesky will be in that area of the field also, just trying to flood that area, stem the flow of the Spurs attacks.
Victory, remember, and Charlton will have 41 points. 40 has generally been regarded as enough to ensure Premiership survival, but this is a pretty unusual season. King for Tottenham. So looking to get at least 1 point out of this. Davies on to Poyet. Sherwood. Gardner. Disappointing, and Charlton breathe again.
Well, you can only give the plaudits to Charlton Athletic. You know, really, when you think of their resources and you go like for like, to be where they are in this division, and when you think of the way they've set the stall out to play here tonight, they've been organised, they've been threatening at certain times, and if they hang on here, when you look at the results against other London clubs, it's a brilliant effort by Alan Kirbishley's team.
Peacock and Mervyn Day alongside him there, put their hard work in, and the preparation for this match, and so far that hard work is paying off. But football matches can change in an instant, and they've conceded a free kick here. Tense final 5 minutes or so for Charlton and their fans. As Ziege plays it in, Kiely with an easy catch.
Well, the difficulty Charlton have got now is that when they go to look to play the ball forward in the manner that Kiely just found Paul Konchesky with a fabulous left foot, is that they've only got one player up there, and they've got to make sure that they try and hold it as long as they possibly can. There's good possession, even just get the ball into the corners, run the clock down.
Konchesky gives it away in the end. Ledley King. And Jason Euell's dispossessed him. He's got Svensson with him. Well, he chose to try and pick out Stuart. Ziege. Iversen steps in to win it back off Rufus, whose return to first-team football has been very successful from an individual point of view, and quite possibly from the team's point of view as well. Svensson has worked really hard, and he's got even more hard work to do now as the lone striker with Euell pulled back into midfield. Fortune's clearance. Bart-Williams hooks it on. Straight to King, though. Davies. Pressure all the time in the middle third of the field from Charlton. Here's Gardner. Ziege. And now Etherington. They need a bit of magic from someone now, Tottenham. Oh, well, you need a stroke of fortune. It happens. It hit the corner flag and went out for a throw.
I've never seen a referee push a player forward to take a throw in. I've always seen them bring them back, never seen them take it forward.
Huge throw as well by Ziege. Two Charlton players going for the same ball, but Bart-Williams got it away. Crowd on the far post. Oh, what an important clearance by Rufus.
Well, it's a great clearance, and you're right to identify that, but I've got a question. Some of the Spurs players not trying to get on the end of a fabulous ball from Christian Ziege.
Nail-biting time for Charlton now. And the header hit the underside of the bar. Svensson clears it. There's not a single Charlton player even close to the halfway line.
Would you believe it? Would you believe it? It's that man again, Gus Poyet. Could have had a hat-trick.
Well, he needed the Russian linesman. He's not here.
Well, they got the female linesman. The lineswoman, rather.
Now Euell. Charlton have had their stroke of good fortune there. Konchesky.
It doesn't matter how well you defend, it's very difficult from set pieces with the ability of Christian Ziege. But Paul Konchesky, that's exactly what the player on the post, his job is to make sure that nothing passes him. And between him and the crossbar, he does just that, but so unfortunate for Gus Poyet. 3 great chances, could quite easily have had 3 goals to his name here this evening. Just hasn't gone for Spurs, and they'll point to instances like that and think that they should have got something out of this game.
Yeah, when you looks out, as Tottenham's most certainly is at the moment, it really is out. Sherwood, good challenge by Euell. Svensson plays it long, too long for Konchesky, but at least it keeps the ball in the other half as we move into the final minute. Tottenham facing a 4th successive defeat. Spell which has seen them not score a single goal and concede up to now 13. And Charlton heading for the dizzy heights of 7th in the Premiership table. Bart-Williams in ahead of Ziege. Ball to deal with. Powell dealt with it.
Well, they're going to have to hang on in there. I think they may be the last touch that Chris Powell has.
Might need another here. Goes up to try and win the header, and this time it was Costa who intervened.
Well, it literally is all hands to the pump at the moment, isn't it? As far as Charlton are concerned, they're hanging on to this grimly. Spurs a belated spell of pressure.
Only 2 minutes of stoppage time. Can Charlton hold on? Now with a very good headed clearance. Now Stuart waiting for the cavalry to arrive. He's all on his own there. Anybody playing? Oh yes, they are. Konchesky really raced forward to join in. He won't be too ambitious at this point. He's got no reason to be.
Well, he did exactly the right thing, Paul Konchesky. Stuart did brilliantly just to get the ball to him, but run the clock down, get it in the corners. No shame in that. Not when you're leading 1-0.
And just to break things up as much as anything else, I suspect they'll make a substitution as well, Charlton, with the experienced Welsh international John Robinson about to come on to replace the goal scorer. Don't often say that about him, Chris Powell.
Substitution for Charlton, replacing number 3, Chris Powell, number 11, John Robinson.
Looks as though he's turned on quite literally a match-winning performance in front of the England manager. Good timing by Chrissy Powell, one of the Graham's great and most popular men, and great pros. He's going to enjoy seeing out the last minute. Well, only if Charlton can hold on will he enjoy it. Tottenham may not enjoy the response of their fans if they can't get an equaliser here. The White Hart Lane faithful are getting a bit impatient. And the splendid Rufus comes to head away another dangerous ball. This could be the final throw of the dice for Tottenham Hotspur.
It'll be a long throw of the dice as well, because Ziege will put this right in the danger area. How many bodies can Spurs get in there?
In it goes towards Sherwood. It's been headed away by Euell. Ziege pumping it back in. And just what you want your goalkeeper to do at that moment. Dean Kiely.
Well, that was a brilliant clutch, wasn't it? It was difficult. There's a lot of players in there. He had to come and take. He was always stretching for it.
The clearance has gone out, but I would think now the light's gone out really for Glenn Hoddle and Tottenham. There can't be time, can there? The referee's looked at his watch, and there's the whistle. Charlton Athletic, like crossing the River Thames into North London. They've beaten Arsenal away, and now they've beaten Tottenham Hotspur away. And Alan Kirbishley, who used to play in the same schoolboys team as a 15-year-old, the same Essex youth team as Glenn Hoddle, has outfoxed the master tactician tonight. His Charlton Athletic have produced another splendid performance on the road. They've moved on to the very significant total of 41 points, and they've moved into the top 7 of the FA Barclaycard Premiership table. They've gone above Aston Villa now on goal difference. What an achievement.
Well, that's a brilliant result, as they tend to do against London clubs. That's 12 league games unbeaten against London sides, but they really were disciplined right from the very moment. The back three, well marshalled and disciplined by Costa, the 30-year-old Portuguese international. Rufus, whose first game since August. Jonathan Fortune, 21-year-old, either side of the Portuguese international. Best player for me in the game, Scott Parker, brilliant in midfield, really did dominate proceedings. And Dean Kiely had a couple of important saves to make against Gus Poyet. Poyet could well point to the fact he could well have had 3 goals. Certainly 2 excellent saves by the Republic of Ireland international. But Alan Kirbishley will be absolutely delighted, and rightly so, with his team. But Chrissy Powell doesn't come up that often with an important goal, but he did tonight. Just took a gamble in the right place at the right time. And good luck to Chris, and good luck to the Charlton side, because they have been brilliant this evening.
It's their first victory at White Hart Lane for 16 years, and of course they've now done the league double over Tottenham Hotspur, 3-1 at the Valley in December. A precious 1-0 victory here at White Hart Lane tonight. And here's the goal. Graham Stuart, I suspect, looking for Jason Euell. It cleared him. Powell gambled, and the gamble paid off. My word, how it paid off for him and Charlton Athletic. A wonderful victory for them. Tottenham will point to countless occasions when they might have scored, in particular Gus Poyet, and especially that effort at the end, which hit Konchesky on the line, but it didn't go in. Charlton have held on, and they have beaten Tottenham Hotspur here by 1-0 tonight. Well, these Charlton fans will enjoy the journey home, and they certainly deserve every moment of their joyous celebrations. Well, 2 of the most important men in their performance tonight, Scott Parker and the goal scorer Chris Powell, are talking now to our reporter David Jones.
Well, Chris, a fantastic win, another London scalp. What does this mean to Charlton?
Well, it's you know, beating all the London sides and drawing, you know, it's fantastic really what we've done this season against the London sides, and we're determined to do it again tonight. and you know, I've popped up with the goal against my beloved Spurs. You know, so I'm well pleased with that.
Scott, how much of this win was based on hard work tonight?
I think most of it was based on hard work, to be fair. I think all season we've been, you know, I think if you look at most of our results, they've come from hard work. Today we got it down a little bit and played, but the majority was hard work, you know, and we got the result what we deserved.
Do you think you raised your intensity in these derby games?
Oh, well, it looks like it. You know, we ain't lost the London derby yet for a little while, so who knows. But, you know, it was a great result. I think all the lads done well. We dug in really well, and, you know, we got the goals deserved, and Powell scored against his beloved Tottenham, so it was good.
So you support the team. You've scored twice for Charlton, both against Spurs.
Yeah, I know. I wish we played Spurs every week. Then I might add to my goal tally. But you know, I'm pleased for the Charlton fans because we've done better away from home actually this year, and you know, hopefully we can follow it up on Saturday against Bolton.
Seriously though, Chris, was it because Sven was in the crowd that you're actually in that position in the first place?
No, I mean, I got in there quite early on in the game, and at half-time I felt I had a chance to get in there. Took a gamble, and I'm ever so pleased, you know, because really I should score more, and you know, hopefully I'll get a few more now.
Scotty, up to 7th level with Aston Villa now on points. Is Europe still a possibility?
I think so. I think we've got to look at that. You know, I think we've got to try for Europe. I think, you know, our results are saying we should be there. So, you know, the table don't lie, and that's where we are. So let's hope we get in it.
Well done, guys. Some big performances all over the pitch, but Scott's the man of the match. So, Chris, if you could do the honours.
Brilliant.
Thanks
well done, Scott.
Cheers,
excellent.
Great goal.
Well done, great.
Bye-bye. Cheers.
Charlton, kings of the capital. Well, why not? 8 games defeated now against London opposition. This win tonight takes them up to 7th in the FA Barclaycard Premiership table and completes the double over Spurs. Chris Powell's winning goal against the team that he used to support as a boy. What a game on Sunday, don't miss that. Liverpool-Chelsea, it kicks off at 2.
So Spurs' worries continue. Another defeat, they're 4th on the bounce. No goals again either. And yet another sloppy one conceded. Ledley King's hesitation, Chris Powell's thigh knocking in Charlton's winner. Reaction from the lane, Clive and Paul coming next. Tottenham 0, Charlton 1 was the final scoreline at White Hart Lane this evening, and this is how the league table looks after tonight's match. Charlton, they move above Aston Villa into 7th place, Spurs stay 9th, and I guess in some despair, Clive and Paul. You got it right, Paul. You said that Charlton were the most likely.
You need a little bit of luck in life though, Bob, don't you? I mean, Tottenham had some great chances when it was 0-0. It never happened, but you know, Charlton kept going all night, worked ever so hard, and I thought
very well organised.
They were well organised, and I thought the wing backs would come into it, but I never thought in a million years that Chris Powell would score the winner.
I think Glenn, when he looks back on the game, will realise how many chances they've had. They didn't have that cutting edge, and again, it's been a lapse of defensive play. Perry, I thought, out of position, and Ledley King, hesitation. And they've paid a heavy price for that. Very disappointing outcome to the evening's game.
Dean Kiely made a great save from Les Ferdinand's first half.
Yeah.
Made 2 fabulous saves, although one wasn't given, from Gus Poyet. Plus the bit of bad luck that you mentioned, Paul, which was the one against the bar. Let's have a look at the Poyet incident.
I think what happened was because of the enforced change of Ferdinand going off at half-time, Poyet got himself further forward. This was a great opportunity, and we've got to give Dean Kiely credit here. I think he gets a little touch. Great first touch from Poyet, gets himself into the scoring opportunity here, but Kiely stays big, and I think maybe it just brushes the outside of his left arm. Should have been a corner. This was brilliant touch, really was, and that's a first-class save. You'd appreciate that, Bob, I'm sure. He stayed big, and he's reacted with his left boot.
100th league game, isn't it?
Yeah. I think when you see it coming there, I think it's Bart-Williams just got a little bit too deep, and it came across Poyet, took it into his stride, and this was the other one where I was talking about you need a bit of luck. Poyet's headed it well
good
down into the
defending
ground.
though as well, Paul, isn't it?
Yeah, well, Konchesky's there, he's on the line, that's what he's there to do, that's what Alan Kirbishley will say, and there he is, he gets his head on it and hits the crossbar, come out and they sweep the situation away. But if you're a Tottenham supporter or you're Glenn Hoddle, you'll be wondering how you never got a goal on the night.
2 or 3 minutes from the end there, you knew that it wasn't going to be your night, or Glenwood anyway. No. Now, what about the goal? I said, going into the break, bad defending. Would you agree with this?
Well, I think Ledley King's got to make a better decision. I mean, it's just coming over Euell's head, and you know, it comes to him and it's bouncing a difficult height for him, but he's got to adjust his body and clear it away. And but to be fair to Chris Powell, he's anticipated it coming off of him, gambled on the right side, and he's got a bit of luck coming off his knee, and that's ended up being the winning goal.
I think there's a couple of things. Chris Perry's in the wrong position. Ledley's been caught doing similar things, as we know, a mistake in the Worthington Cup final. He's learning harsh lessons here, Bob. He is an outstanding prospect, there's no doubt about that. But as soon as the ball bounces in that area, it has to go away. You as a goalkeeper would have wanted it cleared first time. He takes a touch off him, and Chris Powell, it's a good finish, because he's ended up just getting the faintest of touches.
Anything at all. I mean, some people say, oh, that's lucky. You could see at the end there, it just seems to have brushed his thigh.
Yeah, but no, he's followed in. He's made a real effort to get from left back to get into that goal scoring position. He just likes doing that against Tottenham.
Surely Ledley King's got to hook that away.
Just get rid of it.
Get it out. That's a danger area. You know, coming into your own 6-yard box, you've got to get the danger away.
Now, tell me about Sergei Rebrov. How do you read this situation here this evening? Because we've seen some skill from him. We've seen a shot. We've seen him subbed.
Yeah, but I think for me he does a lot of his good work away from the danger area. This is fantastic skill. I think with more awareness, if he pops it up to the back post, there's 2-on-1 at the back post. But on this occasion, Ziege breaks forward. He picks him out. Maybe he could have volleyed it first time, but this is a player out of form. He ends up, he has to track back across the 18-yard and beating Dean Kiely from that range tonight was never going to happen for him.
I think he senses that the manager's not a favourite of his, and you know, then you see the boos from the crowd as he gets brought off. The crowd obviously thought he played okay on the night, and you know, he's coming off from Matt Etherington, and when you feel like you've been one of the better players, you're going to be disappointed being brought off, aren't you?
I mean, we couldn't hear it on there, but we heard it when we were watching the game. The fans booed Glenn's decision.
Yeah, because he had been one of the brighter players up the front, even though he's still slightly out of form. But you could say that for all the Tottenham team at the moment. None of them are firing on all cylinders.
He's not fulfilled the promise of 11 million that he was bought for, has he?
No, but I think he was bought to score goals, Bob, and some of the positions he takes, the way he's played, or the way the team sets up, he hasn't, for me, the best performance I've seen him play, quarter-final of the FA Cup last year at West Ham, where he played on the front line, balls were slid down the side of him. When he gets his sights on goal, he can score goals. It hasn't happened like that often enough for Spurs.
If you watch him play for Kiev, he was always second striker to Shevchenko, never scored as many goals as Shevchenko, and always played around and off of him, and Tottenham must have known that to a point. And 11 million is a lot of money for a second striker.
OK, we'll talk again in a moment. Action to look forward to on the ITV Sport channel. Don't forget it's ITV Sport Plus for Boa Vista versus Manchester United, and here on Select for Liverpool against Chelsea, which is this coming Sunday. Now, let's have a look at Tottenham's remaining fixtures, because Glenn's got to retrieve something here. They go away to Fulham, which will not be easy, although they've won there, of course, in the Worthington Cup earlier in the season.
I think you'd look at their next two fixtures of getting themselves back into some sort of form. Fulham and Middlesbrough coming up, you know, because then they come up against some real tough games with Leeds and Arsenal, and I think they've, you know, if they haven't got some points out of the first two, then they could find themselves in real trouble, couldn't they?
Liverpool's in there as well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they'll be looking that far ahead, to be honest. They've got to sort it out in the short term, get some points on the board, get some confidence back and start winning games again.
I just think the season's going to peter away, Bob. I think you know, it's been bitterly disappointing over the last couple of weeks, and Glenn's got a big job in hand, not just to the end of the season but through the summer, in how he's going to recruit.
So much promise that there was there for Glenn, wasn't there?
Yes, I think he'd come back. He'd said about building a team that played in the right way, but on the back of that, he would have wanted them to win something. It hasn't happened. Confidence has drained.
Enough of Spurs, because the praise here should be going to Alan Kirbishley and Charlton.
Well, it's another great performance from Charlton. I mean, they're about hard work. You heard what Scotty Parker had to say. Their ethic is about working hard, being well organised, and they got a few breaks on the night, but they made their own luck, you could say.
OK. We can hear from the winning manager now. He's with Dave Jones.
Alan, a great win, but how does it feel to have masterminded Charlton's first ever double against Spurs?
Is that right?
I believe so.
Well, it was hard work. It was our night. I think they worked as hard as they could. We had to change it around, and Richard came in for his first game. I thought he was magnificent. And we rode our luck, I think, once we went one up. At 0-0, and then got our goal. But, you know, I'm very, very pleased.
How much of this win was owing to your defensive play tonight?
Oh no, we came into the game You know, I upset young Paul Konchesky by bringing Richard back. He's only played 4 reserve games, but I think we needed the height. Him and George Costa and Fortune were magnificent. I thought Youngie and Powell. So, you know, our best players plus the keeper were our defenders. But, you know, you come to Spurs, you know, they've got injury problems, but they're Spurs. You know, they should be able to cope, and they did. And they played well. They just couldn't get back in the game. Had a couple of chances near the end, but the night was ours, 3 points, and it's a fantastic position we find ourselves in.
And it's 12 unbeaten now against London clubs. You like the Premiership regionalised?
Yeah. Well, I said, you know, I think you see with our fans. I think our fans have come here tonight, and you know, they're up for the game. No disrespect for Spurs, but you know, they've had a bit of a bad run in the last 3 or 4 weeks, knocked out of 2 cups, and you know, and they have to pick themselves up. But we don't need no picking up. You know, the fans are up for it.
Do you think they saved your best performances though to play in these derby matches?
No, because you know, I just mentioned Richard Rufus. We've had plenty of problems all year. You know, there's Kinsella's on the bench. He's played 8 games. You know, Jensen's out. He's played 10 games, and Rufus that's his first full game this year. And we've been hit by a lot of injuries, but we've managed to dig in and get our results. And I think they've been tremendous. And every performance has been first class.
That guy deserves so much praise.
That's right. He's doing a fantastic job. He's been a hell of a long time, and he's having great success at the moment.
OK, Clive, I'll not got to stop you. Thanks for being with us. Doom and gloom at White Hart Lane. The crisis continues for Glenn Hoddle. Not so for Alan Kirbishley and Charlton. 12 matches unbeaten now against their rivals. From all of us, bye for now.
The mountains we've climbed, the rivers we've crossed, whether we won or whether we lost, stand tall, proud and true to the faith in my heart. That's what you taught me to do. You didn't have to preach it. You're